Have you ever just sat and watched a bunch of kids on a playground and wondered to yourself, are children just born with social skills, or is that something they actually have to be taught? It's a really fascinating question, isn't it? Well, while it's true that some aspects of how we interact are kind of tied to our natural temperament, psychologists have discovered something literally game-changing. Social communication is a language, and just like math or reading, social skills absolutely can and should be taught. With a little practice and the right tools, shy kids can become way more outgoing, and those who struggle can learn exactly how to build those lasting friendships.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to look at social development not as some big innate mystery, but more like a construction project. We're building a social toolkit. You know, if you want to construct a healthy, resilient social life, whether you're helping a kid learn these skills or honestly just brushing up on them yourself, you really need the right tools in your belt. These skills give us a massive advantage, helping us navigate school, work, and just life's inevitable bumps in the road with a much stronger self-image.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We've got 5 specific tools on the agenda to unpack today. 1. Mastering the first impression. 2. The art of compliments. 3. Decoding unspoken body language. 4. Building positive group dynamics. And finally, 5. Navigating feedback and conflict.
Starting with Section 1, Mastering the First Impression. This is all about laying the foundation.
So, initiating interaction is quite literally step 1. You see, a lot of children who struggle socially usually do one of two things. They either hang back and get totally ignored, or they overcompensate and try to brag to get attention, which usually just leads to rejection. What they really need are literal step-by-step instructions on how to introduce themselves. Here is exactly how you build that initial connection. When meeting someone new, the whole goal is to appear friendly and interested. Step 1. Stand up. It instantly shows respect. Step 2. Look them right in the eye. Step 3. Give them a smile. And Step 4. Just say, "Hi, I'm," and pop your name in there. Actually breaking it down into these 4 physical and verbal steps totally removes the anxiety of not knowing what to do. It gives you a super concrete script for making a really solid, polite first impression.
But wait, the real secret to a killer introduction? It's the name. The crucial point is learning and actually using everyone's name to show genuine interest. When you use someone's name, it instantly signals that you care about who they are. Seriously, it's the fastest way to build immediate rapport and start turning a total stranger into a friend.
Moving on to Section 2, the art of compliments. Now we're building the walls.
All right, so once we've nailed the introduction, we start building the walls of our social house by actively making other people feel good about themselves. But, there's definitely a right way and a wrong way to go about this. A compliment shouldn't ever come off as insincere or inappropriate. So to deliver praise effectively, just follow these actionable steps. First, look right at the person and use that name you just learned. Second, pick something appropriate to compliment, maybe a quality they have, a great job they did on something, or even something cool they own. And third, and honestly, this is absolutely critical, use a sincere tone of voice. Your tone communicates your true feelings, and keeping it sincere ensures the compliment lands perfectly.
Now, flip the script for a second. Receiving a compliment can actually be super awkward or even a bit embarrassing for some kids. They might feel kind of self-conscious or worry that their friends will think they're stuck up. But it's really important to teach that accepting a compliment gracefully is what keeps the social interaction flowing smoothly. You don't need to give an Oscar speech. Just a simple thank you or playfully returning the praise with something like, "Thanks, I like yours too," works wonders. It acknowledges their kind words and keeps all that positive energy moving back and forth.
Okay, quick trivia question before we keep going. When we're communicating with someone, how much of our communication do you think is actually completely unspoken? Just take a wild guess in your head.
That brings us to Section 3, Decoding Unspoken Body Language. We are constructing the rooms. Well, if you guessed a high number, you hit the nail on the head. Experts say a mind-blown 93% of what you are communicating comes from your body language. That leaves only 7% for your actual words. Crazy, right? People are speaking with their eyes, their hands, their posture. So if you aren't paying close attention to those non-verbal cues, you are literally missing almost the entire conversation.
And this brilliantly illustrates how we can use our bodies like a sort of decoder ring to figure out what people are actually feeling. Take a look at these physical postures. Slouching, for example, sure, it can mean you're relaxed, but if you do it in the wrong setting, like sitting at your desk in a classroom, it quickly signals that you're bored or just don't care. Shrugging your shoulders, that's basically the universal silent signal for "I don't know." On the flip side, standing straight up communicates that you're confident or that you have respect for the person you're talking to.
Our posture is just constantly broadcasting our underlying emotions to everyone around us.
Another massive piece of this nonverbal puzzle is personal space, which is technically known as proxemics. Think of it like this invisible bubble wrapping around your body that just helps you feel safe and comfortable. Experts actually divide this into 4 distinct zones. You've got the intimate zone, that's 0 to 18 inches, pretty much just reserved for close family. Then there's the personal zone, up to about 4 feet, which is where everyday conversations with friends happen. Beyond that is the social zone for acquaintances, and then the public zone for things like giving speeches. Now, imagine stepping right into someone's intimate zone when you barely know them. Yeah, that's going to make them uncomfortable instantly, without a single word even being spoken.
So, we've got a handle on one-on-one communication. But what happens when we zoom out a bit? How do we successfully navigate the tricky, unwritten rules of a larger group?
Let's look at Section 4, Building Positive Group Dynamics. Fostering connection.
Integrating into a broader circle, like a loud classroom, a lunch table, or a sports team, requires a totally different set of give-and-take skills. To really encourage participation and keep things cohesive, you'll want to keep these essential tips in your back pocket. First, always cooperate toward a common goal. It saves time and it's just way more fun working together. Second, you need to identify the rules. Figure out which ones are inflexible, like no hitting, and which ones are flexible and open to compromise. Third, be a good sport. You've got to accept that things aren't always going to go your way, and you can't throw a fit when they don't. Fourth, foster group identity through shared interests. It creates a really strong sense of belonging. And finally, accept differences. Having a diverse group makes it stronger and honestly, way more interesting.
But let's be real. Anytime you put a group of human beings together, things are eventually going to go a little sideways. Think about your own knee-jerk reactions for a second. How do you respond when someone is mad at you, or when they give you some really negative feedback?
Which brings us to our final section, number 5, Navigating Feedback and Conflict. Time to weatherproof the house. This part is absolutely crucial. It's all about safeguarding our relationships through healthy conflict resolution, rather than just letting anger tear them down. When we get mad, it's so incredibly easy to just blame the other person, right? But that just makes them defensive and angry back at you. A really amazing calming tool to break that cycle is called the I message. It's got 4 distinct steps. 1, say what you feel, like, I feel angry. 2, tell what the person did. When you tell my secret. 3, describe how you were affected because I asked you not to. And 4, state what would make it better and I want you to apologize. See what happens there? You are expressing your feelings very clearly, but you're doing it gently, without aggressively attacking the other person.
Let's do a quick role play to see how modifying our response can literally change the whole interaction. Imagine someone accidentally steps on your foot. First, imagine the classic knee-jerk angry reaction. Are you kidding? It really hurts. That immediately puts the other person on the defensive. But now imagine a calm, constructive reaction. You just say, well, it hurt. The other person apologizes, and you smoothly say, that's okay. Boom. You've expressed your discomfort, you got an apology, and you successfully diffused the anger before it could turn into a whole thing. Let's simulate another scenario, this time dealing with a really tough emotion, jealousy. Imagine a student, let's call her Sarah. She gets a pretty bad grade on a test, while her classmate Jake gets an A. Here's a hostile reaction. I'm so mad. I got a D on my test. How did you get an A? That's not fair. Oof. That interaction is just super negative, and ultimately, it's only going to isolate Sarah from her peers even more. Now, what's really interesting here is looking at the positive alternative to that exact same scenario. Instead of lashing out, Sarah manages her emotions and simply asks, really, how'd you do that? Jake explains he studied hard, and he offers, next time we can study together if you want. By keeping her cool and just asking a constructive question, Sarah turns a frustrating moment into a really nice opportunity for support and connection. And finally, sometimes you just can't solve it on your own. Knowing when and how to seek an adult's help is a vital, totally responsible step in managing conflict. No one should ever feel embarrassed to ask for backup. The steps are super simple. Decide what the actual problem is. Be honest with yourself and decide if you actually need help to solve it. Think of an adult you trust who has the tools to help, and then just ask. Seriously, people generally like to feel needed, and asking for help is a massive sign of social maturity, not weakness.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today, from mastering the step-by-step art of a great introduction to decoding the silent world of body language, all the way to resolving tough conflicts with I messages. The absolute best part about all these skills, they are entirely learnable. So I'm going to leave you with this. Which tool from the Social Toolkit are you going to practice adding to your belt today? Pick just one, test it out in the real world, and watch how it transforms your interactions. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep practicing out there.